The war had ended, or so the galaxy believed. The mighty Zarkith Alliance, made of 5 powerful alien empires, stood tall, claiming they had destroyed the last human base on the shattered moon of Calyx 9. Alien leaders gave proud speeches, their voices full of victory. Screens across the systems showed burning ruins, broken human machines, and lifeless battlefields. The human threat is over, they said. The resistance has been crushed. But they were wrong. In a dark control room buried deep under the surface of Calyx 9, something still moved. A small flickering light blinked on a hidden console. It was a signal, weak, but steady. It pulsed in a forgotten human code, long thought extinct. No one noticed it. No one was watching. The aliens believed they had won. They never checked twice. High above, on a Zarkith flagship, Commander Threln reviewed the footage of the final battle. His tentacles twitched with pride as he watched human fighters explode in space. They never stood a chance, he said to his officers, but one junior tech officer hesitated. Sir, there's something strange. Threln frowned. What is it? The officer zoomed in on one section of the wreckage. A human ship, burning, falling, but then vanishing into a dust cloud. We never found this one, the officer whispered. No debris, no bodies. Threln growled. Then they were vaporized, irrelevant. He turned off the screen. But down on Calyx 9, inside a hidden chamber behind a wall of metal, a human soldier opened his eyes. His name was Captain Drew Harlan, and he had been left behind. He wasn't alone. 7 others, barely alive, stirred around him. They had survived the final assault by sealing themselves inside an emergency cryopod, a backup plan no one knew existed. The system had reawakened them after the scans showed no more alien life nearby. Harlan looked around. Status. A medic coughed. Breathing. Weak. Ammo low. Supplies worse. Good, Harlan said. That means we're still in the fight. The group didn't know the war had ended, but they could feel something was wrong. The air was too still. The radio too quiet. They moved carefully, avoiding scanners, hiding from patrols. What they found shocked them. There were no humans left. No bases. No command centers. Just silence. But silence wasn't death. It was something else. Something waiting. On the other side of the galaxy, a remote Zarkith listening post picked up a strange signal. It was old, faint, broken, but human. The operator laughed. Old tech noise, he said. A ghost message. But when he tried to delete it, the system locked up. The lights flickered. And then the speakers whispered, "We are not finished." The operator screamed. Back on Calyx 9, Harlan and his team broke into an old human storage bunker. Inside, they found weapons, armor, and something more valuable. A deep space beacon. Harlan activated it. It sent out a coded message to a location even his own team didn't recognize. Only one group would understand it. Far beyond the edges of known space, past the black dust of forgotten systems, machines stirred. They weren't ships. Not yet. They were parts. Engines. Armor. I-cores asleep for decades. The message woke them. Because this was not the end. It was the signal they were built to receive. Harlan's message was not a cry for help. It was an activation code. And in those dark systems, something ancient and powerful began to rise. Back in the Zarkith capital, news of the signal reached the High Council. "We destroyed Earth," one shouted. "Their homeworld is gone." Another whispered, "But we never found their deep space colonies." What if? No, the leader hissed. The humans are finished. One signal doesn't change that. But still, he sent orders to increase patrols, to scan old war zones, to check every edge of their territory. Fear had returned. Meanwhile, Harlan's team hacked into old comms relays. They listened. They learned. The war had ended. The galaxy had moved on. Monuments were being built on planets where humans once fought. "They think we're dead," said a soldier. "Then let them," Harlan said, "because when we return, they won't be ready." He stared at the sky, where distant stars blinked like slow-moving ships. He didn't know that his message had already reached them. He didn't know the real army was coming. But soon, everyone would. And the galaxy would remember. Humans don't go down easy. And they never come back the same. The Zarkith Alliance had moved on. Their fleets were now focused on other borders, new threats. Human space was now considered dead space. Quiet, empty, harmless. Patrols were rare. Most were automated drones sent to record silence. But one drone didn't return. In Sector K-97, near the edge of an old battlefield, a Zarkith observation drone picked up strange energy readings. Not natural ones. They were patterned, pulsing in perfect intervals, exactly like human tech signals. At first, the command center believed it was a glitch. They'd reset the system and sent a second drone. It vanished, too. That's when they sent a manned scout ship. The scout team, led by Captain Telrix, entered the coordinates where the signals were strongest. What they found didn't make sense. Pieces of metal drifted in space, too advanced for old Earth technology, but too strange for any known race. The pieces looked like ship parts, but they were building themselves. Slowly, silently, a machine was forming. "It's like the ship is growing," one pilot whispered. Then the readings spiked. The ship's lights flickered, and all comms went dark. The scout ship didn't explode. It simply stopped, frozen in place. No damage, no signal, just floating, empty. Command tried again and again to make contact. Nothing worked. That night, a deep space station near the edge of the Zarkith border received a short message. No name, no location, just 5 words, repeated over and over in old human code. "We are almost awake now." Panic spread quietly among the high ranks of the Zarkith. They didn't announce it to the galaxy. They didn't even inform their allies. They simply increased surveillance near the outer zones. More drones, more scouts, more secrets. But it was already too late. In the far reaches of space, something had returned. A hidden human fleet, once scattered and unfinished, was reactivating. These were not warships from the past. They were built in exile, in silence, with better tech, smarter AI, and new strategies. They weren't controlled by Earth. Earth had fallen long ago. These ships were controlled by survivors who had left before the war ended. They had disappeared into the dark and waited for the right signal to return. That signal had just been sent, and now they were moving. Meanwhile, on the broken moon of Calyx 9, Captain Drew Harlan and his small team had made contact with a deep space relay. A voice spoke through the static, calm, confident, human. "Captain Harlan, this is Vanguard Command. We received your beacon. Reinforcements are coming." Harlan smiled. "It's about time." Status: 8 of us left. Holding position. Empire thinks we're dead. The voice paused. "Good. Let them keep thinking that." In the following days, strange things began happening across old human war zones. Dead satellites powered on. Abandoned drones took flight. Old Earth warning messages flashed in the skies of quiet planets. Miners near a ruined outpost on Miriak 4 reported seeing a ghost ship pass overhead. Its engines made no sound, and it vanished without a trace. Every time someone tried to investigate, the signal stopped. Every time someone came close, the readings vanished. It was like the humans were watching, testing, waiting. One brave Zarkith officer tried to warn his commanders. "This is not just a random event," he said. "Something is coming back, something organized." But no one listened. "We won," the general said. "This is nothing." And still, more drones vanished. More scouts went missing. One day, A cargo freighter entered human space by accident. It was carrying food supplies to a nearby colony. As it drifted too close to a silent sector, all its systems failed. The ship was dead, cold. The crew prepared to die. But then the lights came back on. The engines restarted, and in the control room, a single line of text appeared on the screen. "Leave now. You were spared." The freighter turned around and fled. When the Zarkith heard what happened, they finally understood one thing: the humans were back. But no one knew how many. No one knew where. And worst of all, no one knew when they would strike. Back on Earth's last known bunker, deep underground and hidden beneath layers of rock, human AI systems were waking up. Screens lit up, weapons locked into place. New soldiers, trained in silence, were preparing for what was next. Commander Vale stood before the map of the galaxy. "Did they take the bait?" he asked. "Yes, sir," replied an officer. "They think it's just scattered signals." Vale nodded. "Good. Then they won't be ready." He looked at the red marks glowing on the screen. Zarkith bases, fleet locations, communication hubs. And then he said 5 words that started the Second War. "Begin Phase 2. Quietly. For now." The real human army hadn't arrived yet, but the shadows were moving. The Zarkith Alliance still didn't understand the danger. Even after the strange signals, the missing drones, and the lost scout ships, they believed the humans were finished. High Command said these were just random events. Ghost signals, they called them. Nothing to worry about. But deep inside, fear was growing. A new patrol was sent into the outer zone. 5 ships, lightly armed, just a routine sweep. Their mission was simple: scan the area and return. They were not expecting trouble. There hadn't been human movement in years. Still, the lead pilot, Commander Ilex, felt something strange. He couldn't explain it, but the silence around him didn't feel empty. It felt like someone, or something, was watching. The patrol entered Sector N8, close to where the last scout ship disappeared. They scanned the area. Nothing appeared on the radar. No ships, no signals, only cold stars and old wreckage from the war. Still, Ilex couldn't relax. "Let's finish the scan and get out," he said. That's when the lights on his ship flickered. The screen flashed white for a second, then turned black. Every system went offline. Shields, weapons, engines. The other ships in his patrol reported the same thing. And then, in the darkness, a voice came through the radio. It was human. Low, calm, and clear. "You should not have come." Before anyone could respond, the signal cut. Silence again. Then, all 5 ships vanished from the network. No explosion. No distress call. They were simply gone. Back at Zarkith Command, panic hit fast. Another patrol lost. No wreckage. No clues. Just a message left behind in the main control system. First warning delivered. This time, even the High Council couldn't stay calm. They locked down all outer sectors and began emergency war drills. Messages were sent to allies. "Something is wrong. We may be facing a hidden threat." But they still didn't say the word out loud. Humans. They were afraid to believe it. Meanwhile, far away, deep in a hidden asteroid base, Captain Drew Harlan watched the patrol vanish from his monitor. He nodded to his team. The test worked. They had used a stealth net, an invisible trap powered by advanced tech from the lost human colonies. It shut down enemy ships without a sound. No gunfire. No explosion. Just silence. "Should we destroy them?" one soldier asked. Harlan shook his head. "No. Let them live. Let them go back and spread fear." But there was nothing to spread. The patrol hadn't been killed. They had been taken. In a dark room lit by only a single lamp, Commander Ilex sat in a chair. His hands were free. No chains. No cages. But he was trapped. Across from him, a human officer leaned forward. His face was calm, but his eyes were cold. "You thought we were gone," he said. Ilex didn't answer. "You thought you ended us," the human continued. "But we don't die that easy." The officer leaned back and pressed a button. A screen lit up behind him. It showed something that made Ilex's blood run cold, rows and rows of new human warships, larger than anything the Zarkith had ever faced. "Why are you showing me this?" Ilex finally asked. The human smiled. "Because we want you to tell them. Tell your leaders what you saw. Let them feel what we felt. Fear." Then everything went dark again. The patrol reappeared in Zarkith space 2 hours later. Their ships floated silently. Systems dead. No memory of what happened, except for Commander Ilex. He remembered everything. He spoke to the High Council the next day. "They are not gone," he said. "They are growing. They are smarter. They are waiting." The council was divided. Some believed him. Others thought he was broken by fear. But no one could explain the new message that appeared in the central communication tower that same night. "We gave you a chance. You celebrated too early." The Zarkith leaders ordered full scans across human zones. Dozens of warships were moved to the border, but they still didn't attack. Not yet. They were unsure, confused, and, deep inside, terrified. They thought they had fought the full human army years ago. They were wrong. That had only been Earth's last defenders. The real human army hadn't arrived yet. It was still on the way. And every signal, every ship, every warning was just the beginning. Harlan and his team prepared for the next phase. The traps were working. Fear was spreading. The enemy was breaking down from the inside, just as planned. Harlan looked at the stars one more time. "They took everything from us," he whispered. "Now we take it back." The message had been delivered. Now the humans were getting ready to speak. Louder. Zarkith High Command held an emergency meeting. The leaders sat in silence around a long, dark table. Their faces were cold, but their eyes showed fear. The loss of the patrol, the strange human message, and the missing drones had shattered their confidence. Commander Ilex had told them everything about the silent trap, the captured ships, and the human fleet he saw. "They're back," he said again. "And they're not what we remember. They're faster, smarter, and they knew we were coming." The council leader slammed his hand on the table. "This is impossible. We destroyed Earth. We crushed their last bases. Where are these humans coming from?" No one had the answer. All across the Zarkith territories, panic moved like a shadow. Civilian ships refused to enter old human zones. Military officers reported strange signals in multiple sectors. Some claimed to hear whispers through their headsets, voices speaking in old Earth languages. Others said they saw ships moving in the dark, too fast to track, too quiet to follow. It was fear, and the humans were feeding it. From a hidden control station deep in asteroid field Z31, Captain Drew Harlan and his team watched the chaos unfold. Their plan was working. They hadn't fired a single shot since the reawakening, but the Zarkith were already afraid. "They're not thinking clearly anymore," one soldier said. "They're reacting out of fear." "Good," Harlan replied. "That's when they make mistakes." The humans had spent years in hiding, training, building, upgrading their tech in exile. Their new ships could cloak for days. Their weapons could disable instead of destroy. And their AIs were learning fast, adapting with every Zarkith move. The next phase had already begun. Human strike teams were moving. Not in giant fleets, but in shadows. One team infiltrated a Zarkith fuel station and shut it down from inside. No explosions, no deaths, just silence, and a message left on the main screen. This was a small warning. Another team disabled the satellite network without even landing. Zarkith forces tried to trace them, but the humans were gone before sensors could lock on. The Zarkith military was in full alert. Thousands of ships were moved to defend key locations, but they didn't know where to look. Every time they thought they found the human force, It disappeared like smoke. In truth, they weren't facing a full army. Not yet. They were only facing scouts. And these scouts were better than any soldiers the Zarkith had seen before. Back at the Zarkith capital, whispers of doubt began to rise. Some generals started to question everything they had been told. What if the humans never showed us their real strength? One asked. What if that last war wasn't their full army, but just what Earth had left? More silence. Then another message appeared on the capital's main defense screen, broadcasted across all major ships and stations. You fought Earth's ashes. Now face the ones who left before the fire. That message shook them all, because it meant something they hadn't even considered. These humans didn't come from Earth. They were the exiles, the ones who escaped before Earth fell, the ones who disappeared into deep space, never to be found. And now they were back. Zarkith leaders tried to calm the people. Propaganda videos showed the strength of the military. We will crush them again, the voices said. But fear is a hard thing to erase once it spreads. People remembered how hard it was to fight humans the first time, how unpredictable they were, how they used emotion and desperation like weapons. And now they were patient, cold, and 10 times more dangerous. In the middle of a quiet space station near the border, a Zarkith officer sat alone at his console. The lights flickered. He tapped the screen. Then a voice spoke from behind him. A human voice. We could have killed you. The officer turned, but saw nothing. Remember that, the voice whispered again. Then the power returned, and the console showed only one message. Still just the beginning. Back in the hidden command station, Harlan smiled. Our shadows are working, he said. Another soldier nodded. They're too scared to act. They don't even know who to attack. That was the plan. The humans didn't want a full war, not yet. They wanted to break the enemy's mind before breaking their fleets. The Zarkith thought the humans would return with fire. Instead, they returned with fear. And the real fleet, the full human force, was still not here. It was on its way. Quietly. Efficiently. And when it arrived, the galaxy would learn the truth. The first war wasn't the real one. This was. And the humans were just getting started. Zarkith Command had been on high alert for weeks. Every sensor watched the old war zones. Every ship was ready to respond. The fear was growing. And the silence from the humans was louder than any attack. They had sent no demands, no warnings, only strange messages and shadows. Then it happened. A long-range scanner in Sector 12 picked up movement. At first, the officers thought it was a glitch, just background static. But the signals grew stronger. Dozens of them. No identification codes, no communication, just a silent fleet, moving through dead space like ghosts. The Zarkith panicked. 10 warships were rushed to intercept. Fighter groups launched. Defense satellites activated. The fleet was coming straight through a forgotten sector that had once been part of old human space. When the Zarkith ships arrived, they stopped cold. There, floating in perfect formation, was the human fleet. But it wasn't what they expected. These weren't old Earth warships. These ships were sleek, dark, and smooth, shaped for speed and silence. Some looked like flying blades, others like black arrows cutting through the void. No ship had visible weapons, but the energy readings were off the charts. Silent engines, advanced shielding, zero emissions. Not a single piece of light escaped from their hulls. It was like they were built to hide in plain sight. The lead Zarkith commander, Admiral Korath, opened a channel. This is Zarkith Command. Identify yourselves. No response. He tried again. This space is under Zarkith protection. State your origin. Still nothing. Then one human ship moved forward. Just one. It didn't fire. It didn't speed up. It simply came closer. Too close. Zarkith sensors began failing. Screens turned white. Weapons shut down. Then a voice echoed through every ship, calm, human, and impossible to trace. "This is the edge. You are not welcome here." Then the lights returned. The human ship backed away, and in a perfect, silent formation, the fleet disappeared. No jump signature, no energy trail, just gone. The Zarkith ships limped back home, systems damaged, crew shaken. Admiral Korath stood before High Command and spoke with a heavy voice. "That wasn't a scouting party. That was a message. And if that's just their first wave, we are not ready for what's coming." Back at the human forward base, deep in a hidden nebula, Captain Drew Harlan and Commander Vale watched the footage from the encounter. "No weapons fired," Harlan said. "No need," Vale replied. "They're scared now." "Good. Let that fear grow." The fleet that had just appeared wasn't even half of what humanity had built in exile. It was just a test group, a whisper, a warning. The full fleet was still behind the dark edge of the stars, hidden in sectors Zarkith maps didn't even reach. And more were coming. Human engineers were still building new ships every day. Faster, smarter, designed not to win battles, but to end wars before they started. On a distant moon, a human outpost activated a hidden relay. It sent a signal into deep space. The message was short. Phase 3. Begin movement. Across the stars, silent ships began to stir. Meanwhile, Zarkith scientists tried to understand how the human tech worked. They couldn't. "We don't know what they're using," one tech officer reported. "It's beyond anything we've seen. They've surpassed us in every category: speed, stealth, power." Some commanders wanted to strike before it was too late. Others warned against it. "If we attack first and fail," said one senior admiral, "we may not survive the counterattack." The High Council debated for days. But it didn't matter. The humans were already moving. Not with guns, not with fleets, but with shadows. Every Zarkith system reported minor failures, power drops, broken codes, strange glitches. It wasn't random. It was sabotage. Human sleeper programs, hidden in old systems, were waking up. One cargo station shut down completely. When engineers went to investigate, they found only one thing on the control screen: "We are the storm you created." That message was broadcast across 10 colonies before it was erased. Zarkith citizens panicked. Protests began. Whispers spread. Some people demanded peace. Others called for full war. But no one knew where to strike. And that was the point. Back at the hidden fleet base, Vale stood in front of a large screen. Red dots marked Zarkith territory. Green dots marked human scouts. Yellow marked the next phase. "Time to reveal more," he said. Captain Harlan nodded. "Send the next fleet." He smiled faintly. "Let's give them something to panic about." The next day, 10 more human ships appeared near a Zarkith fuel line. They disabled it in under 3 minutes without a single shot fired. Then they left, leaving behind only another message. This was the second wave. The Zarkith had once believed the war was over. Now they knew it had only just begun. And the real human army still hadn't arrived. Zarkith command was falling apart from the inside. Fear was spreading faster than any fire. Systems were failing. Fleets were silent. Leaders argued behind closed doors. And still, the humans had not launched a full attack. But the damage was already being done. Across the outer colonies, supply lines were breaking. Fuel stations went offline without warning. Military bases stopped responding. When soldiers arrived to investigate, they found the same thing each time. No battle, no dead bodies, no signs of war. Only a message on a wall, or a screen, or scratched into metal. "We are still not the army." That sentence shook even the bravest Zarkith commanders. They had sent fleets, scouts, drones. Nothing helped. The humans didn't fight like before. They didn't fight at all. They erased targets, shut down systems, and vanished. It felt like a ghost war. In one outpost, A group of Zarkith soldiers heard strange noises at night, clicks and whispers, like someone watching. Their captain ordered a full scan. They found no life signs. But the next morning, every weapon on the base was gone, cleanly removed. Left behind was a line burned into the floor. You are not ready. Back on the Zarkith homeworld, fear turned into anger. Some leaders demanded a full assault. Find their ships. Hunt them down, they shouted. But others knew the truth. They had no idea where the real human army even was. They're everywhere, said one general. And nowhere, like shadows. Then came the worst day yet. 12 major supply hubs went dark at the same time. No signals, no explosions, just silence. A whole sector collapsed. Zarkith High Command sent every ship they had to protect the core colonies. But it was too late. Communications failed across 6 systems. Panic spread through the cities. Civilians tried to flee, but the transport gates were already offline. One by one, systems blinked out. And still, not a single human ship fired a shot. At the edge of deep space, the real human command center floated inside a hollow asteroid. Captain Drew Harlan stood with Commander Vale, watching a large screen. Dozens of Zarkith systems were blinking red. We've cut half their reach, Vale said, without a battle. Harlan nodded. We trained for this. While they celebrated the last war, we prepared for the next one. The humans had used their time in exile well. Hidden colonies worked in silence for decades, building ships, weapons, and tools beyond Zarkith understanding. Their soldiers trained in secret war, stealth, code warfare, AI control. They didn't need numbers. They didn't need strength. They used fear. They used silence. They used precision. Back on a crippled Zarkith warship, a young officer named Varn sat shaking in his chair. He had just watched his entire fleet vanish. They weren't destroyed. Their systems were disabled mid-flight. No explosions. No warning. Just gone. Then a human voice came through his headset. Calm. Cold. Your leaders lied. This is not the end. This is the beginning. He stared at the empty space ahead, and for the first time, he believed it. Zarkith leaders began to break. One council member fled the capital. Another went silent, refusing to speak. Messages leaked to the public. The humans were not defeated. The last war had been a trap. Earth had sent only its final defenders. The real human army, those who escaped before Earth's fall, had never fought. Until now. And this army wasn't angry. It was focused. Harlan watched the reports come in. Another fuel line lost. Another capital dark. Another warship drifting, powerless. Still, he waited. Still, he did not give the order to attack. We show them who we are first, he said. Then we let them fall apart. One soldier stepped forward. Sir, what about the final fleet? Harlan looked out the window at the black sky. Not yet, he said. We haven't shown them everything. And he was right. The real power of the human force, the main battle group, trained in secret, hidden far beyond enemy range, was still waiting. Waiting for the moment when the Zarkith would finally break. And that moment was getting close. Back in the Zarkith capital, one last message flashed across every screen. In every ship, every base, every street. The message was simple. You thought the war was over, but we never started it. Chaos exploded. Zarkith leaders called for surrender talks. But no reply came. Because the humans weren't ready to talk. They were still watching. Still planning. Still preparing the arrival of the real army. And once it came, there would be no more shadows. Only fire. The stars above the Zarkith capital turned dark. It happened in silence. 1 second. The sky was clear. The next, something massive blocked out the stars. Civilians looked up, confused. Soldiers froze. The ground shook slightly. Then alarms screamed across the city. A fleet had arrived. Not just a few ships. Thousands. Gigantic warships, unlike anything seen before, appeared across the outer edge of the system. They came without warning, without sound, and without fear. Each ship was larger than any Zarkith cruiser. Some were shaped like long daggers, others like floating mountains of steel. Their surfaces had no lights, just shadows and power. It was the real human army. The one they said didn't exist. The one they said was destroyed. But here it was. Zarkith Command fell into panic. Orders were shouted. Ships launched. Weapons powered up. But deep down, every officer already knew. They were too late. A message came through every Zarkith frequency. It was a human voice. Calm, steady, and cold. You faced our scouts. You faced our shadows. Now face the ones who never ran. In space, human ships began to move. Slowly, without hurry. Zarkith warships flew toward them. But the moment they entered firing range, their systems failed. Missiles didn't launch. Shields collapsed. Engines froze. Human jammers had shut everything down in less than 5 seconds. Then the human ships opened fire. It was not loud. It was not wild. It was precise. Laser beams sliced through metal. Pulse cannons knocked out entire ships with one blast. No human shot missed. Every target was chosen. Every strike had purpose. Zarkith fleets tried to retreat, but the humans were already ahead of them. A second group of ships appeared behind enemy lines, cutting off escape routes. The Zarkith were surrounded. On the ground, military bases were hit by EMP waves. Weapons failed. Defense systems went offline. But the humans didn't land troops. Not yet. They wanted the fear to grow first. In the capital bunker, Zarkith High Command sat frozen. Their strongest ships were gone. Their backup plans had failed. And now, the humans were above them. A second message appeared. You burned our home. We built a better one. Captain Drew Harlan stood on the bridge of the lead human battleship. Behind him, commanders reported enemy collapse. No real resistance left. We could end it now, said Commander Vale. Harlan shook his head. Not yet. They must remember this forever. Not as a defeat, but as a warning. Vale nodded. Begin final phase. Yes, Harlan said. Far above, a massive circular ship moved forward. It was not a warship. It was something else, something older. The core of humanity's exile fleet. It activated a giant pulse, blue energy spreading across the planet. But it didn't destroy. It revealed. All hidden human messages appeared across Zarkith territory. Old Earth history, images of lost cities, videos of civilians dying during the last war, proof of how Zarkith wiped Earth without mercy. The people saw the truth. The lies of their leaders were burned away. And the message was clear. We came not for revenge. We came so no one forgets. Zarkith citizens began to rise. Protests exploded. Soldiers dropped their weapons. Entire bases surrendered without a fight. One by one, the systems stopped resisting. Not because of fear, but because they knew they were wrong. The High Council begged for peace. This time, the humans answered. Captain Harlan's face appeared on every screen. You thought we were gone. You thought we were weak. But we survived in the dark. We trained in silence. And now, we return not to rule, but to remind. He looked into the camera. This is what happens when you push humanity too far. Then the screen went black. And the war ended. No peace treaty was signed. No celebration followed. The humans simply turned away. Their ships vanished just as they came, silent, unstoppable, unchallenged. But they left one final message behind. We were never your enemy. You made us one. Never again. The galaxy was quiet for a long time. Every species watched in silence. The Zarkith Empire fell within weeks. Other races whispered about the human return. Some feared them. Others respected them. But all of them understood one thing. The humans were not just back. They were something new, something more. And though they disappeared into the stars again, no one forgot the day the real human army arrived. The day the galaxy changed forever.